Stanley Sayers of Seattle, who has traveled faster in a boat than any man alive, makes last-minute plans for a new attempt at a world speed record. His boat, the Slow Motion 4, is a sleek craft of plywood, whose many thin sheets have been bonded together with phenolic resin glue, made by Monsanto's Western Division. On July 7th, Sayers, with his riding mechanic, headed out into Lake Washington at Seattle. And at a rate of 178 miles an hour, swept the waters of all existing speed records for hydroplanes in the unlimited class. Here, the fastest measured mile on water in history. One month later came the biggest speedboat event of the year, the Gold Cup Regatta. Entered against the fastest boats in the nation, Sayers won top honors for the third straight time. Here's the finish, and another triumph for Slow Motion 4. The spectacular Plywood Comet. Employees at Trenton gathered in February to receive the President's Trophy they won in safety competition among Monsanto's Group 2 plants. Awards are made annually to the two plants with the best safety records. On hand to present the trophy at Trenton was President Charles Allen Thomas.
Safety is a lot more than just being safe for the man that works on the job. It means that they're happier families because no one was hurt during this period of time. And now it's my pleasure to present Mr. Tucker and Mr. Small this President's Trophy. And I certainly congratulate you both. But again, I want to congratulate every man and every woman here, because without your help, we couldn't have done it.
The next day, Thomas went to Nitro, where he presented a similar trophy for the winning plant in Group 1. Nitro employees had worked more than 3 million man-hours without a lost-time accident.
As you know, this trophy, and I'd like to unveil it if I may, has become quite a tradition in Monsanto for many years. It's something that's not obtained easily. Competition is very keen within Monsanto because we rank second in the country in a safety record. And I hope and I really believe that before many years we will top the nation as a company as a whole in safety.
My name is Roy Brandenberger, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to tell the Monsanto family about the company's 7th division, the merchandising division. Prior to last May, Monsanto had been selling its products to industries for the most part and not to consumers. But now we are distributing several products at the retail level, and we hope to add more shortly. Trillium Soil Conditioner, our division's first product, went on sale in May, and Monsanto's Block M was seen in stores throughout the nation. These scenes at Famous Bar Company's store in downtown St. Louis are typical of consumer interest at leading retail outlets from coast to coast. Late in 1952, our division added Res products to our line. As you know, Res is a wood primer and sealer made by Monsanto, a product which we are now merchandising nationally. A water-soluble fertilizer, folium, was also added to the line. In the days ahead, people on this new merchandising team will be looking to Monsanto's other divisions to provide us with additional useful products, retail products, to increase Monsanto's prestige and earnings.
At the Long Island, New York plant of Riggio Tobacco Company, home of Regent cigarettes, tobacco is threaded by rotating knives and dropped on a conveyor belt which carries it through a drying unit and then to a flavoring operation. As the tobacco passes into a cooling drum, coumarin, a Monsanto product, is sprayed on the tobacco to enhance its natural aroma. Riggio, like many other leading cigarette manufacturers, uses coumarin to amplify and preserve the rich flavor of tobacco. At Indiana Arsenal, Charleston, Indiana, Ultron, a Monsanto plastic film, helps the Army protect a vast stockpile of machine tools from corrosion. Covered with Ultron, military equipment can be left out of doors without danger from rust when it is packed with treated paper containing Monsanto's dicyclohexylamine. A massive machine can be wrapped for storage in a matter of minutes because of the light weight and flexibility of the vinyl shrouds. Losses from corrosion and efforts to control it previously have cost the nation over $5 billion annually. Safety in a manufacturing plant is greatly increased through the use of Pydrol, Monsanto's non-flammable type hydraulic fluid. Pydrol is used in the die casting department of Johnson Motors Company at Waukegan, Illinois, where the famous Seahorse outboard motors are made. Pydrol in the hydraulic system of this machine eliminates a fire hazard. The product is also outstanding for its high lubricity. In May, operations started at the Muscle Shoals plant, where Monsanto is making chlorine and caustic soda for the government. Shortly afterward, an inspection was made by officials of the Army Chemical Corps. This plant, where chlorine is made by the famous Denora process, is the largest of its kind in the United States. From rich mineral deposits in the far-reaching hills of Idaho, strip mining of phosphate ore began in 1952. Months of digging and hauling permitted Monsanto to establish a huge stockpile prior to the start of operations at the Phosphate Division Soda Springs plant, where elemental phosphorus is produced. In May, ground was broken for a new service building adjacent to the Queenie plant, while representatives of the Organic Chemicals Division looked on. Soil conditions made concrete pilings necessary for a solid foundation. Here is the Western Division's newest production unit, where the flavoring agent vanillin is made from the raw material lignin. Semi-refined vanillin made here is shipped to the Queenie plant for a final refining process. And now off to Texas City by Air Force helicopter for a view of Monsanto's greatly expanded production unit on the Gulf Coast. In mid-December, vinyl chloride monomer, a key raw material for plastics, was added to the Texas City production schedule. And during Christmas week, acrylonitrile, an important raw material for synthetic fibers, went into production. Down in the plant, construction was accelerated at year's end to add important new production units to Monsanto's growing list of chemicals for industry. Pitchfork Ranch in Texas, the cowhands are out of their bunks by 5:15 a.m. After a hearty breakfast, they set out for a day filled with action. At Pitchfork, in addition to cattle, there is mesquite, a thorny, tangled mass of wood and leaves. Mesquite spreads like fire and can be just as hard to fight. In Texas alone, it has blighted millions of acres of grassland. Mesquite's brambles make strays difficult to find, and the cowhands have to use dogs to flush out the hidden cattle. Thanks to Monsanto chemistry, the Pitchfork cowboy now has a liquid weapon to battle this flourishing nuisance. An emulsion of Monsanto's 2,4,5-T in diesel oil and water is formulated on the ranch and pumped into airplanes for a spraying operation. Here, then, is the modern method for fighting an old enemy of the ranchers. The chemical, which is harmless to humans and livestock, works its way to the roots of the mesquite to halt its growth and dry it up on this 163,000-acre ranch. This comparison shows what happens when Monsanto chemistry visits Pitchfork Ranch. Among the thousands of employees who have been with Monsanto for 15 years or more and who were honored in a series of service award programs from coast to coast in 1952. Vice President R.R. Cole presided at a dinner in St. Louis at which veteran employees of the main office were honored. Service awards were made by President Thomas, who distributed gold watches and pins. Another typical ceremony was held for the employees of the Camden plant, who also gathered at a dinner to receive their awards. Vice President Francis J. Curtis assisted W.J. Colvin, plant manager, with the presentation. Merrimack Division employees assembled on the stage of a theater near Everett, while a large audience saw General Manager C.H. Summer present the program and introduce former President William M. Rand, who distributed a record number of watches and pins. In 1952, Monsanto Kasi Chemical Company began production of plastics and plasticizers in plants at Yokkaichi and Nagoya. The employees are Japanese who make plastics raw materials for use in Japan. The office and plant at Yokkaichi are in the heart of a dense industrial area. Office equipment includes both modern machines and ancient Oriental inventions. Great skill is required in operating the abacus, the remarkably rapid and age-old calculating machine. The Japanese typewriter, with more than 3,000 characters, is also a complex machine. Laboratories contain the most modern equipment. Likewise, the plants are modern in operation as well as in appearance. Major products are Opalon vinyl resins and Ultron vinyl film, both in heavy demand in Japan's growing plastics industry. Plasticizers were added to the production schedule late in the year. Vinyl film appears all over the land and in countless applications. On greenhouse frames, film is used to protect young plants from direct contact with rain and sun. It is also an inexpensive and easily applied cover for field crops. The coating of wire is one of the major of many industrial uses of Opalon vinyl resins. Film, however, in raincoats, in curtains, and in hundreds of end products is the big news throughout Japan. Homes, too, now have plastics everywhere, in tablecloths, in cushions, and even in chopsticks. And the beaches of Japan have taken on added color, now that Monsanto and its plastics have come to the Orient. At Miamisburg, Ohio, just south of Dayton, Monsanto operates Mound Laboratory, the first permanent atomic energy laboratory in the country. Here is the first motion picture visit to this laboratory, where highly secret research, process, and development work is conducted. Example of the type of development work carried on is this unique microbalance, which was made at Mound, and which is so sensitive that it can weigh radioactive samples equal to 1/10,000th of a grain of salt. Radioactive samples are analyzed by highly sensitive electronic counters. Such equipment, developed at Mound, can measure 220 billion atomic disintegrations a minute. Animal experimentation is part of the long-range biological research program. White rats are used in studying the internal effects of radiation in tissues and organisms. Varying doses of radioactive materials are given to laboratory animals to provide data concerning the possible effects of atomic radiation on human beings. Small injections may, in time, add to the knowledge of the many scientists who are using atomic energy constructively in their battle against disease. And finally, a fascinating corner of the laboratory, the cave. Men stand in safety a few feet away from dangerously radioactive materials, handling them by an intricate remote control apparatus. New materials, new methods, new scientific knowledge in the interest of mankind.